All right, today we are going to be painting a triptych. If you've never worked on a triptych before, you have to work on these a little different than just a single canvas. And if you don't know what a triptych is a series of 3 separate panels that make up one piece of art. Triptychs can come in many different sizes and styles and orientations. You can do a triptych like this, straight up and down. You can do them sideways. You can make them staggered up a staircase. You can do a lot of weird stuff with them. And the reason I like triptychs so much is because it adds versatility when it comes to installing the art in different spaces. You can gap these differently. If a client moves or is afraid that they might move into a different house in the future, you know, they can always break the triptych up and use them for like behind nightstands on each side of the bed, and then they've got an extra panel to do whatever with. You've just got a lot of options with triptychs, and I tend to use that to my advantage when it comes to sales. And I just like painting triptychs, as you can probably tell from my inventory. So these canvases that I just pulled out of the closet were built actually a couple years ago by my dad. My dad builds all my canvas for me. These do not have corner braces on them, so some of them aren't as straight as I would like them to be. Actually, those two are pretty straight. It's this one. This one's got a little curve in it. So I'm gonna make a little detour on this video, and I'm gonna corner brace these canvases before I get started. All right, cool. So now we got the cross bracing done. And what we're gonna do, if you can see here, you see how everything's nice and corner braced, not cross braced, corner braced. And I was able to fix those little the problem area, essentially. Now I'm just going back and I'm spackling the little brad nail holes that are in there. I don't even really have to wait for this to dry. I just need to fill it and then paint over it. These canvases, like I said, have been sitting in the closet for a while and need a little bit of touch up, like on the edges and stuff where they have been beaten up. Doesn't take long, but it's the little details like that that count though, because if you don't do it and then you make some really awesome piece of art that you're really massively in love with, and then you see that it's got this little problem area that you could have taken 5 minutes to fix, but you didn't, you're gonna be mad at yourself. So just take your time. There's no rush. Now we can get into the painting. While I'm painting the triptych, I'm actually gonna paint it all together like this when I do my resin work over it, okay? And for every single layer that I do it like this. I do resin, and right before it dries, I pull it apart. Because if you don't do that, your canvases are gonna be stuck together and you're gonna have to break them apart, literally. So I've done it a couple times myself because I've forgotten. But yeah, don't do that. We're gonna start with them scooted all together, and I'm actually gonna flip this one. Hold on, I see something. I see a problem here. Whoever built these canvases didn't cut them all at the same time. And it's always frustrating to see, but you can tell right here, once you line them all up, this canvas is actually shorter than the rest. So that's a problem. So what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna save this one for a diptych or a pear, but I really wanna paint a triptych today, so we're gonna use these at another time. All right, you know, if they were off on width just by a little bit, like an inch even, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell because you're not looking at them stacked the other way. You're looking at them stacked lengthwise. So, but as far as length goes, you can always tell when they're stacked up like that. I don't know if that made any sense, but what colors am I going to paint with today? You know, it's actually about time we go paint shopping. And today I'm gonna paint with some of these golden acrylics and some of these other random colors and see what happens. So yeah, these heavy body acrylics by Golden Acrylic are some of my favorites. A little bit goes a long way. So, I guess you gotta take the cap off. Got all my edges finished the way that I want them finished. All right, so that's the base coat. Probably a little bit wet for jumping right in. So we're gonna let it dry a little bit. All right, so I just mixed up 10 quarts of resin. This was my mixing bucket that I'm holding, and I'm pouring it into the other bucket so we don't have any hot spots. I leave just a little bit of resin in the original bucket. This piece I'm gonna keep pretty simple as far as colorway. I think even though these are two different brands of paint, that's pretty much the same color right there. This one is a little bit shinier. It's got a little more iridescence, but very similar color. All right, let's start painting. I actually don't want this one to be like a circular piece. It's just kind of turning out that way though, isn't it? I guess I should change it if I don't like it though. Don't I need to do that? Probably. It's probably a pretty good idea to change it if I want to. Glitter. I like some of this pattern underneath, so I'm using clear to keep some of the pattern, whatever, some of the base coat. How about that? We'll use this one first. Whoa, that's a lot. Did you see that? You know what's gonna happen? This shit's gonna get glitzy. Glitzy, glitzy, glitzy. I think I kind of missed my mark a little bit, but that's all right. That's all right. Migrate it over here. And migrate it over here. And then over here. I do like that gray color, and I kind of don't at the same time. Yeah, that's probably Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it? Don't get too attached though, because you know what happens. It's just not going to stay like that. It's just not. It's just not. You know? It's just not going to stay like that. Want to like break up that circular motion, you know, a little bit. And now I'm about to run it. Haven't even like coated the whole canvas, you know. Got to at least coat the canvas. There's still like a lot right there that needs to happen. I'm gonna mix up a little more resin and see what happens. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna work this a little more over here. Because if I do it now, I won't have to do it later. Got that like whole section right there in the middle too. All right. I kind of want to throw some black in this thing, right? Yep. Yep, yep, yep. I have decided to darken this piece of art. And I'm really excited about that. And yeah, a little bit of black. A little bit of white. Actually, yeah. We'll do 2 cups here, 2 cups here. That's a lot. So we're just going to use a little bit of clear for this area. I don't think I've ever, yeah, I have, never mind. I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever made a black and white triptych, but that's not true. That is a lie. Not a lie, but I forgot. You know what I'm talking about. Just get here, do a
little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm gonna be the best finger painter on the whole planet. One day, when I grow up, I'm gonna be the best finger painter on the face of the planet. All right, back to your regular programming. Now we're getting close to the point where we're gonna start playing with the panels individually a little more. But first, see that? That little speck. So this stuff is very light blue. I don't know how it's gonna look. Whoops. Metallic dark metal. This is what I wanted. This would be a really great color for this piece. What do you think? Yeah, this is what it needs. This will bring it home, I think, personally. Just a little bit of it will go a long way. Almost kind of want to just like create a, almost like a vignette around the edges with it. Probably not the whole thing though. know, man, it still needs something else. You know? I just dump this whole thing on it. No? No? You're saying sure, but you mean no. Right? Like, why am I asking you? Like, what am I doing? Why am I even doing that? It doesn't even make sense, does it? I think I'm gonna run it the other way. That layer, at least, is finished, and I can just go back in and relayer it later. I gotta let it dry. Because if not, I'm gonna overwork it. You know? I don't need to overwork it because it's pretty cool the way it is. Yeah, that gold, man, that gold is kind of gonna drive me crazy right there. All right, it looks good. So now what we have to do is we've got to get 12 standoffs. And you want to make sure they don't have any crap hanging off of them that are going to make them off balanced. So you might need to do a little work to clean them up if you've reused them multiple times like I have. So these are cleaned up. So you gotta space them out a lot at first. I like to get all the standoffs set up first and just get all of that out of the way. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna balance one side. I'm gonna try to do this kind of quick. Make sure they're in the middle, and then run over here and get this one situated before it changes. You've gotta get these perfect. Get it right the first time, that way you don't have to mess with it a second time. What I mean by that is really balance the standoffs in the middle of the 1x3 and on the middle of the 2x4, because it can slip off, and that's not fun when that happens. So yeah. And then what I do is I bump the next set of standoffs right onto the other one. So like in this case, now that one's set up and that one's set up. I go back in and I adjust. See, this one was sliding, so I had to sit it in the middle of the 2x4. And that one's good. Ta-da! And then we'll come back in tomorrow. Actually, we still have to torch it one more good time, but we'll come back in tomorrow, see how it dried, and then reassess. Do we need to give it another layer? Do we need to wait and work on another project and think about it? I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. In the meantime, I've got a lot more resin left over, so I should probably use it before cleaning up all the mess. So that's what I'm gonna do.